The day has finally come. Harry and Meghan face the risk of receiving punishment from King Charles for their constant aggression. A new penetrating investigation will look inside the royal family's fight for survival, and King Charles should be distraught. Hello, friends. Welcome to the King YouTube channel. I'm sure you all remember that How It Started, How It's Going trend for memes back in 2020. It was during COVID when we were all trying to figure out whether or not we had COVID actually. I remember every single time I would cough, I would think, is this it? And we were all trying to figure out how to make Zoom work. It was a frustrating time for sure, so I enjoyed those memes. Well, if anybody wanted to play around with the meme right now, it would be pretty interesting to make one about King Charles and his family, because there is certainly more than enough material to make one. All right, let's start with the how it started part, of course. They could use a photo taken for His Majesty's 70th birthday back in 2018. In that photo, we got the king, his wife Queen Camilla, we got both sons there, both daughters-in-law, and also the beautiful Wales children. And what about for the how's it going part? Well, this week, Charles is going to celebrate his 75th birthday. So let's just think about what that same family portrait would look like today. William and Harry probably be pushing each other to the floor. Catherine, who knows what she'd be doing, probably giving Meghan the stink eye and trying to get as far away from her as possible. The Wales kids would probably be running away from their evil Aunt Meghan in fear. And what about Archie and Lilibet? Well, if they were there at all, I think that would be shocking enough. So how are things going now between King Charles and his wayward son Harry living in California? Well, not very good. And it could be that things are going to get even worse pretty soon. The reason is there is a book that is going to come out soon. And I know usually a book is not a scary thing, but in this case, the royal family, especially the king, might be feeling pretty worried. Later this month, Meghan and Harry's favorite spokesperson, Scooby-Doo, aka Scabies, aka Omid Scobie, is going to release Endgame. It's a follow-up to his 2020 book Finding Freedom. That was a book that talked about Meghan and Harry's time in the royal family and made them look very, very good. And it looks like Endgame is going to go after Buckingham Palace, and it's not going to be pretty. The one-word title promises that it's going to be a penetrating investigation, and it's going to take readers on a journey inside the royal family and the monarchy's fight for survival, making it sound like the palace is going to collapse any day now. So here's what the blurb says. An unpopular king, a power-hungry heir to the throne, and a queen willing to go to dangerous lengths to preserve her image. But, of course, there's going to be a brave hero mixed in. Specifically, a prince forced to start a new life after being betrayed by his own family. And then when you open the book, you're going to find some chapter titles, including Shaky Ground, The Queen is Dead, The Monarchy Faces Trouble. Oh God, I Hate This, King Charles's premiere, and Gloves On, Prince William, Heir to the Throne. But the most possibly damaging one is pretty obvious, the chapter called Race and the Royals, Institutional Bigotry and Denial. And it is at this point where I'm sure the courtiers' eyes are going to be rolling back in their heads. Supposedly, they're not going to be taking a new round of claims on the specific front in the politely laying down position. Instead, according to the Daily Mail, while palace aides have said they are unlikely to comment on the book, any charges of racism will be robustly rebutted. And sure, robustly rebutted doesn't really sound like they're going to come out with guns blazing, but anyway, at this point it would be impossible to calculate how many times I have talked about the downward spiral of Charles and Harry's relationship, but just wait, because it sounds like things are only getting worse. According to the Mail's reporting, it sounds like if new allegations about the royal family and racism do come up in Endgame, there's not going to be much sitting on hands and twiddling thumbs. Instead, they're going to come out and they're going to fight. Making matters even more complicated is the fact that Charles' 75th birthday is coming up soon. Now, he is having a small party and family are going to be showing up to Clarence's house for some champagne. But today, both sides are arguing about whether or not Harry and Meghan even received an invitation. The Sunday Times reported that although it is understood Charles invited his second son to the family gathering, the Duke of Sussex is not making the trip. And then the Telegraph's Victoria Ward went on Twitter, or X as it's now known, to reveal that Prince Harry has not been invited to the King's 75th birthday party. A spokesperson for the Sussexes informed Ward that there had been no contact about Charles's upcoming celebration. My goodness, if the King and Harry cannot even agree on whether or not something arrived in the mail, then is there any hope that this relationship is going to be repaired? Is there any hope that they're going to learn to reconcile? According to the Times, while some members of the royal family initially sympathized with Harry and Meghan's struggles with royal life, all that changed about a year ago when they unleashed their Netflix series and Harry's book Spare, and that proved to be the last straw. According to the Times royal editor, Roy Anika, the king will miss his second son at his birthday party, though the same cannot be said for the rest of the family. Nika spoke to a source who recently spent time with the royal family in Scotland, and this source told Nika that prior to these money-spending projects inside the royal family, there was always the hope that some things might be mended with Meghan and Harry. But now, quote, the family has firmly shut the door on the Sussexes for the time being because of the documentary and the book. The king will be faster to forgive than the family because Harry is his son, but the door is still more shut than ajar at the moment. So just in case things are not difficult enough right now, Harry showed up in a video for the charity Stand Up for Heroes, which came out at exactly the same time that Charles was presiding over his first state opening of Parliament, and William was busy in Singapore presiding over his very successful Earthshot Prize initiative. Endgame is looking like it's going to revive some of the most harmful allegations made about the royal family in modern history, if not ever, and it may raise some fresh, new claims of its own. And the palace getting ready to do any necessary rebutting with the added cherry on top of this whole invited or not invited situation. All indications point to problems ahead. But this is familiar territory for us. Father versus son, brother versus brother, Buckingham Palace versus Montecito. If there is one thing, though, that we have learned in this weird journey of truth and broken necklaces and dog bowls and frozen penises, it is that transatlantic relations can always get worse. And do you agree with the views in my video? Please tell me your opinion below in the comments. If you think my video is helpful, don't be afraid to like and share it with anyone else who would enjoy it. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.